Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host and superior web headmaster, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and I am coming to you from the future. This is the present for you, and it'll be the past in a moment, but time's funny like that. Last night, I recorded a very fun conversation with Armin from ComicBookCast, dear friend of the show, mentor of mine. So he joined us to talk all about CineamCon, the news we got around Deadpool and Wolverine, about Captain America Brave New World, about Thunderbolts, about the trailer for Joker, the new TMNT movie, all kinds of stuff. Had a very fun conversation that I'm excited for you guys to get to hear. We were on a bit of a time crunch, so I opted to simply record the introduction and outro on its own, and then last night I also recorded the newest match for Epic Confrontations. So a little bit of sizzle there. Jedi Lords, myself, Case and Breon, going head to head with our bitter rivals, my bitter rival, Alden Diaz and Michael McCoy over in Big Chungus from the Chungus Eternal. Per Eli, that match should be out next week. We also have a very special project that was officially announced today, coming out on May the 4th. I've teamed up with Eli from In a Galaxy to do the story of Skywalker, an unabridged kind of walk through the chronological events of the Skywalker saga, taking every little bit of ancillary story material that is relevant to the story into consideration. And I'm excited for that to drop. Eli's been working very hard on it. He welcomed me into it to help narrate it. And yeah, so stay tuned for that on May the 4th. That'll be coming out while we're in Fan Expo in Philadelphia, which again, if you're at, come by, come find us, say hey. We'll be walking the con the whole weekend. So again, if you're around, come say hi. But yeah, but anyway, we got a little carried away. Time got away from us last night after the match. We were all hanging out, chopping it up, and I never got around to recording this intro and outro. So here we are. So there's your sizzle for what to look forward to: Epic Confrontations and the story of Skywalker, all on the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel. And before I throw you guys to past Jarod and Armin, a brief word from our friends at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse, with their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their award-winning, or I'm sorry, let me start that over. Their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice ain't for you. And they also have their award-winning pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus, and other garnishes if you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy. As a former bartender and Bloody Mary lover, Sunday's Bloody Mary is the GOAT. It is the best Bloody Mary mix on the planet. I don't like Bloody Mary mix to begin with, and this stuff is an absolute game changer. Their spicy Caesar mix is my favorite type of Bloody Mary, and I'll go out to a bar, I'll order a Bloody, I'll be like, it's all right, but it's not Sundays. Get that Zinzang out of here. But if you guys want to change your Bloody Mary game for life, use the link in the description down below and use the code TNAP, T-N-A-P, at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. So with that said, I'm going to throw to my counterpart in the past to talk all about CineamCon with our dear friend Armin from the ComicBookCast. Enjoy. And thank you to future Jarod, who is past Jarod to all of you. But time works in a funny way, doesn't it? But yeah, we are here. It's time for a CinemaCon news roundup. I am joined, obviously, by friend of the show, friend of mine, Armin from the ComicBookCast.
I am super glad to join you. Glad we could find out a good time, especially because I know we're gonna have a good conversation. I always love coming on here talking to you, of course. getting a different perspective than the typical CBC perspective I get over there. So, it's always good. It's good.
Yeah. I've been working daylights a lot lately with my new job, so I've not had the opportunity to stop by for a CBC episode. So I gotta make sure I'm off on a Thursday here soon, so I can poke my head in and kick it with Du Bois, as it were. But yeah, CinemaCon was this past weekend. We got a lot of really cool news, some stuff I'm super excited to talk about. One of these stories, I was at work when I saw the story on Twitter, and I audibly gasped with excitement. So yeah, other than that, Armin, what have you been watching, playing, entertaining yourself with these days?
So I'm kind of in this point of my life where hold up. Are we allowed to swear on this? I can't ever
Oh,
remember.
oh yeah,
All right.
Mitch has to tell me not to cuss on your show.
Yeah, okay, that's true. True. Okay, so I am past the point of giving a fuck anymore, right? Like before, I would get a video game or something. I'd be like, I gotta beat this thing. I gotta get through. I gotta get my money's worth. No, fuck that shit. If I don't want to play it for 3 weeks, I'm putting that down. I'm gonna go do anything else. So I've been just catching up on old games, playing new games, watching random TV shows and movies. Uh, Started to listen to some audio books on my free time. I'm just literally trying to make free time because I've realized life is too short, man. Consume everything you can before you're dead. So that's what I'm doing. you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've said on here, I've said my entire life, the stories that move us, the stories that matter the most to us, are integral parts of us, and they define us. And as someone who loves storytelling, I put a huge premium on getting to experience the stories I love on my own terms. So
Mhm.
I love that so much. I know I got Mortal Kombat 1 for Christmas,
Oh.
and I fell into that a little bit where I was like trying to make up for lost time. And
Mhm.
like there came a point where I was like grinding a little bit. So I
Yep.
was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a step back, you know, around, and eventually, New Game Plus for Spider-Man came out, the Battlefront Classic Collection came out, which everyone's heard me rant about ad nauseum on Knights of the Nerd Republic, and that shit show of a launch. Um,
Yeah.
but don't get me started. Not on this show. We don't have time for it. But yeah, it was. I feel that so hard. I've basically accepted the fact that I'll come back to Mortal Kombat 1 once the Homelander DLC drops,
Right.
and I will be back to enjoying it again on my own terms. And I think
Right.
that's
Like,
very
you know,
important.
I've talked about it before. I play everything, and I'm also a hardcore PC gamer. So I got like Dragon's Dogma 2 on PC. The game is hard. It's punishing. Like it wants to abuse you for fun, right? So what did I do? I'm on PC. I installed a mod. I gave myself the max amount of stamina so it doesn't run out so I can jog for more than 5 seconds before my character is dying. It's cheating, sure, but I'm enjoying the game the way I want to. I don't have time to beat myself over the head going, oh, this shit's hard, get good. Nah, fuck that shit. I'm here to play games, have fun, get out, and that's what it's about. So I advise that to anybody listening
Absolutely.
to this. Go out there and do something different. I'm going to another rave in like 2 weeks. I'm fucking hyped. So live a little.
Hell yeah. Live so much. Real quick before we jump into the CinemaCon news, a story we have not had a chance to talk about quite yet, just because we haven't had a chance to do a news roundup in a minute. We have our Silver Surfer for Fantastic Four. Just hitting this real quick before we jump into the rest of the news. Julia Garner of Ozark fame has been tapped to play Silver Surfer alongside Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joe Quinn, and Ebon Moss Bacharach. So I'm excited by this. I've never gotten around to seeing Ozark. I know almost everybody in my family is fucking obsessed with this show. Um, when I told my dad, I was like, "Hey, you know that that Ruth lady from Ozark is playing the Silver Surfer?" He was like, "That is batshit insane, and I'm here for it."
Yeah.
So yeah, and obviously the expected discourse happened where people pretended to have a long storied connection to the character of Norrin Rad and pretended that they were heartbroken for some reason. And these are one of the situations. The only person there are a handful of people who are allowed to complain about shit like this when it comes to these niche characters. And I'm sorry, the only person I want to hear a complaint from is Quentin fucking Tarantino. Like, that is the only person who's allowed to have a hard and fast opinion about how they want to see the Silver Surfer depicted, because he's the only motherfucker I know who has been around long enough and has actually has an opinion to bitch about.
Bro, the Surfer discourse is insane. It's a multiverse film. We clearly see that from everything. They've leaned into it. She's not playing Norrin Rash. She's playing one of the other ones. It sounds like they might be amalgamating two of the female surfers. Fine. Who cares? They're doing this to show you the power of the Surfer, to let you know when Norrin comes, he's even better. It's genius. Like, and it's not blowing your load in a multiverse film to show Surfer and then go, well, now we got to do the same character in the MCU proper. Like, no, like, I mean, trust me, when it comes to comic book nerds who love Surfer, I'm right there at the forefront. I love that character. And even I can tell you that I do not give a fuck about this, because Norrin Rad is going to be done proper and he's going to be great. So it's cool. It's cool. And I can already tell by her frame, she's going to have the same Doug Jones effect. You know, lean. She's going to look great when she's covered in silver. Like, yeah, it's perfect. Honestly, I haven't, like you, seen Ozark, but everybody I talk to, they're like, fuck yeah, that show's great. So I'll trust them. I'll trust it.
Let them cook.
Yep,
you can say whatever you want, for good or ill, have all the conversations in the world about the MCU. If there was one thing that franchise has gotten right consistently for, like, we're pushing 2 decades now, it's casting. That is, like, uniformly the thing that they have never, ever, 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 ever missed on. Like there have been some shitheads who they've cast, but in terms of, like, the performance they can bring to the table, it's always been spot on.
Yeah.
Moving in here, though, into our CinemaCon discussion. Starting with the story I teased earlier that I was stunned to see, and that I'm super excited by. We're getting a live action R-rated adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, which is a string of words I did not think would ever happen.
Yeah.
I've read Last Ronin. I fucking loved it. I remember, God, I think it was the early day. It would think it was the early days of the Nerd Academy when the comic was announced. And I think we spent a good 30 minutes all speculating on who we thought it was. Because when it was initially announced, you didn't know. And I remember us having the conversation of, the obvious answers are Leo or Raph.
Yeah.
The more interesting answer is Donnie or Mikey. The most tragic answer is Mikey. And it's I think it's an incredible story, and I gotta give props to Paramount here. This is a ballsy fucking move.
I mean, this is one of those things where for literally decades, us TMNT nerds have been saying, R-rated TMNT film, please. And every time we were turned down. And what this tells me is, you got your cartoon kid stuff. Okay. Here is our last ditch effort at live action TMNT. If this doesn't deliver, you are not getting another live action TMNT film, because the exponential cost only goes up when you go heavier on CG. This is going to be R-rated, dirty, gritty. Mark my words, no more than 100 million, 150 million with the marketing combined. This is going to be what we need. And with that in mind, as a Turtle fanatic, this was genuinely shocking, because think about this. In the next 3 years, we're getting the video game based on The Last Ronin, followed by the movie. We're going to be in a Turtle renaissance, because it's going to also hit with Mutant Mayhem 2. It's glorious.
Plus the TMNT Mutant Mayhem, like, sequel show.
Yes.
Like it's, Turtles are back on TV. Turtles are back on the big screen on 2 fronts. You know, plus the game. I think this is huge, man.
Mhm.
Like, and you know, and I'm not as much of a shellhead as you are. Like, I love the Turtles. You know, I have the embarrassment that I've still not gotten around to seeing Mutant Mayhem. I wanted to see it so
Oh,
fucking badly in the theater, and I just haven't had time to sit down and watch it yet. I plan on doing that very, very soon. Um, because I've heard nothing but good things, and you know, it just excites me. You know, I think just by happenstance, you know, a story will come up that I'm able to bring this little anecdote up every time you're on. But you know, I remember, you know, as a teenager listening to Comic Book Cast, and there were all these conversations about like, oh, it'd be so cool to do this, it'd be so cool to do that, it'd be so cool to do this, but you know, you have to remember that like the general audience is not the people who are logging on the Hollywood Reporter, logging on the Deadline, logging on the IGN or Nerdist or keeping up with the news about this stuff and are, you know all the inside baseball. So you kind of have to hold their hand. People will inevitably get confused when there are two different versions of the same character on
mhm.
screen, and we have, and it still boggles my mind that we're past that point
Yeah.
where you can take a risk with a franchise like fucking TMNT that on paper like it still doesn't compute for me that they could take a big swing like this and be like, yes, we have this animated film that people fucking loved, and we're also going to do an R-rated live action one for the grown-ups who can handle the more mature tone. And I am blown away by this. I am so excited to hear about casting, to hear about, you know, the direction this is all going to go in. But
Mhm.
yeah, this is very exciting stuff. We have no details other than the fact that it is
I
happening.
mean, my biggest hope for this, and I know this is gonna trigger some people, but again, remember people, I'm a fucking turtle fanatic. My next tattoo is gonna be Ninja Turtles. So
Oh hell
I
yeah.
am in I'm in the fucking weeds and the trenches with this franchise, okay? I hope that they take the basic premise and I hope they change some elements. I think you need to change elements of the story to fit a different medium. And I also think, and I hope, because okay, it's going to be a slight spoiler. We already talked about it. There's one turtle left. The rest are dead. It's in the future. This don't directly say sequel to the original 90s continuity, but lean into it. You need to lean into
Imply
it.
it. Yeah,
Exactly.
do like Superman Returns does, where it's
Yeah.
like, you know, this is very clearly not
Right.
Christopher Reeve,
Like,
but like
you
it
know,
feels like it. It feels like
show
it. We're implying that it is, you know, but
exactly.
we're
Show
just
us the
leaning into it.
Ronin in the lair. And as he's going back to the lair after the first confrontation where he's bloody and beat up, he sets his weapons down and show us the mutagen from the first or second film and show us Shredder's super helmet or something, right? Just imply to us that those matter because we need that connection and then we're good to go. Because it's hard again to onboard people to this turtle universe that hey, you have no connection to the dead turtles. If you suddenly imply, remember those films you watched when you were 10 and now you're 40? Guess what? This is them. You bring in a whole different generation and perspective. I really hope they do that.
Absolutely, and it can be the next forebear in what I hope to be like the good versions of the age of nostalgia. You
Mhm.
know, like I was talking about this on the WrestleMania episode we did. You know, the power of legacy storytelling. You know, I think a lot of people have a propensity to write it off as, you know, as pandering, as low hanging fruit. You know, oh, bring Toby and Andrew back and people lose their minds. Bring Michael Keaton back and they'll lose their minds. Fifth Indiana Jones movie, da 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 da. And you know, those, and you know, I'll hear those complaints, but stories like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, like Spider-Man: No Way Home, do such a good job. The Star Wars sequel trilogy do such a good job of going. This is where we came from, and this is how we can move forward. And starting the story from such a dark and bleak place, I think opens the opportunity to really explore those themes of renewal and growth and
Mhm.
moving on that is best told when utilizing the tools of leaning into stories past.
Yeah.
And I think trying to subtly link back to the old turtle flicks, I think that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah. It's like there was the animated CG film from like 2007 or 8 or whatever, and that one, it's heavily implied it's a sequel to those, but you don't need to see them. It's like, yeah, that's what you need to do. Just give us some of that, so there's something to it. And again, I hope that this film is everything to bring live action TMNT to a level where it needs to be. Because again, this is our final attempt as Turtle fans. If this one fails, live action is never happening again, because costs to these types of films are in the hundreds of millions, you know? So, like the last two TMNT films produced by Michael Bay, I like both. I genuinely love the second one. I think it's good, but they didn't. It made 450 million, and that's not enough. 450 million used to be a blockbuster. Now it's like billion or bust. It's like, bro, we need to temper expectations. Please get back to a normal approach, you know?
Yeah, and that in and of itself is a bag of cats that goes across the industry right now. You know, it's like, you know, not to bog ourselves down in a Star Wars conversation, but that's like this weird back and forth I keep hearing about the Mandalorian and Grogu, where people are like, please God, don't let this whole movie look like a TV show. But by the same token, it's like, okay, yeah, like I want this to look like cinematic level episode of the Mandalorian with a runtime to boot. But by the same token, like I am not mentally prepared to deal with this movie underperforming in any way.
Yep.
Again, like what you were saying, like all the whole conversation about Indiana Jones 5 being a flop was predicated on this idea that that you know it was like, no man, its budget was fucking insane. And
bro, it's true. Like, you know, the stuff will come out, but like they spent over 75 million on just de-aging Harrison Ford for that one sequence. My God, you guys should have cast a different actor, for the love of God. Like, I get it. It's like, I get why they did it, but it's like, we already had Young Indiana Jones as a TV series, which I love. So it's like,
I mean,
money.
I would go so far as to say, as much as I love that opening, that opening scene, it in and of itself is like a condensed Indiana Jones movie in terms of length.
Oh yeah.
It's I love it. I love every second of it. And now that I have it, I don't know that I'd be willing to part with it. But I don't know that if you told me like, you know, maybe, you know, the conversations are a little less silly. And granted, I also don't like to get bogged down in the box office of it all. You know, I like to talk about the stories and all of that, and not so much the money side of things.
That's because you're smart.
I try. But the other sad reality of it is that, you know, if we're talking about these stories and their impact, part of it is the cultural reception to it. And that, you know, if a movie underperforms in any way, shape, or form, no matter what the context is, no matter what the reasoning is, there are going to be bad actors who further poison the well of these conversations and make them harder and harder to have, no matter what. It does not matter. You know, we can talk for hours about why the Marvels had to deal with not being able to be promoted properly because of, you know, the studios prolonging the strikes.
No, woke.
Woke. And exactly the arguments from the bad actors. So yeah, really cool stuff. Excited to see where that goes from here. Moving into some more CinemaCon news, more rooted in the MCU. Some stuff that's very exciting. We're going to start with the Captain America Brave New World buzz we got. I'm going to be reading from the Variety article here from Brent Lang, just to kind of get us started here. Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson steps into his own as a Star-Spangled Avenger in the first look at Captain America Brave New World that Disney shared during its CinemaCon presentation on Thursday. It sees the newly minted Captain America saving Harrison Ford's Thaddeus Ross, the President of the United States, from a group of brainwashed assassins. The action-packed scene finds Wilson engaged in hand-to-hand combat while dodging bullets as he desperately tries to rescue the leader of the free world from a daring attack. Also a word, I'm trying to get through the article because my computer is lagging a little bit, where they kind of did the Terrence Howard, the Don Cheadle style tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement, where apparently Sam Wilson has a line where he's like, you look different. And And apparently Thunderbolt Ross simply replies, yeah, they told me to either lose the stash or lose the White House. So, which I just think it's funny that they couldn't convince Harrison Ford to just have a mustache for this movie. It is the reverse
You know,
of
it was
the
Harrison Ford.
Justice
He was
League.
like, Harrison Ford walked in there. He's like, "So you want me to be the fucking Hulk? I don't even know what the fuck that is. What the fuck? He's wearing a mustache. The Hulk doesn't wear a mustache." He had no clue. It was a Han Solo situation where he's just like, "I don't know what I'm doing here. Just give me the damn lines."
Give me the lines. I'm going to show up. I'm going to act my ass off, and then I'm going to go home.
Yep,
And I don't want to
exactly.
talk about it. But yeah, the first look at the Marvel movie also showed Wilson getting an offer from Ross that he may not be able to refuse. Quote, I want Captain America to help me rebuild the Avengers, the
Oh
president
man.
tells the patriotic superhero. The sequel picks up after the events of the Disney Plus streaming series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. For the two readers who may not have caught Avengers Endgame, there's a funny little line in the article here. Steve Rogers, Wilson's predecessor as Captain America, went back in time and gave up his superhero role in favor of aging gracefully. Yeah, very, very excited about this. This is I'm happy to see our Captain America and Hulk hybrid movie. That we have the leader. We're obviously inevitably going to have Rulk. Yeah, this is really exciting stuff, and finally leaning into this idea that like the world needs the Avengers back excites me to no end.
Mm-hmm. Like, you can definitely tell that this is that, hey, we got to let the people know the Avengers are coming back because, again, people aren't out there, reading all the trades and everything, right? So this has got to be that subtle hint at it. And I'm excited. I'm excited. It sounds good.
It sounds very good. I'm very excited for the. I mean, there's some stuff in there that I have mixed opinions about. There is especially now, the character who's been, kind of comedically boiled down to Captain Israel, being in the movie. That's something we're gonna have to contend with, and we'll see how it's handled in the film, and how it's approached. But yeah,
I
on the
still
whole,
can't believe they decided to go through a mass amount of reshoots and remove the entire Serpent Society, but keep that controversial character in the film, which is going to backfire so fucking bad. Because
yeah.
I've seen already tons of my friends who are like, I love Marvel. When I told them that that character's still in, they're like, nope, opting to not see this film. I'm like, I get it. I get it.
I can't blame them. I can't blame them. I am excited. And it is the weird mixed bag. Like I am really excited for this movie. I'm excited to get to see more of Sam as Captain America. I'm excited by the idea of finally having like a solid Avengers lineup reestablished here. Aside from the kind of in the shadows monitoring things like an actual boots on the ground Avengers lineup. Yeah, I'm excited to see the return of the leader. I'm excited for
Oh,
Harrison
yeah.
Ford. But a lot of that, but you cannot separate the baggage it has going in. And I hope it is handled delicately. I hope it's handled deftly or
Mhm.
deftly. That's a new one. Deftly. But yeah, time will tell. I am, like I said, cautiously optimistic and hoping the movie's able to deliver. And there are the elements that I am still unequivocally excited for, alongside the stuff that I could do without.
Yeah, it's the film that I can't on people know I'm a Captain America fanboy. It's my favorite thing in the MCU. It's my favorite superhero in the MCU. Like, this film is exactly what I want. And again, I love Sam Wilson, so bring it on, bring it on.
Absolutely. Going into our other big drop from CinemaCon. Again, we're going to be kind of leaping forth from this Hollywood Reporter article from Pamela McClintock and Eric Couch. Deadpool and Wolverine plotting fucking in theater spot, asking to silence cell phone. Or plotting bleeped in theater spot, as the headline reads. But yeah, so from what we understand, it begins with Deadpool telling Wolverine about his theories for Secret Wars, a reference to Marvel Studios' upcoming movie. And also heard, but every time Deadpool began to say what he'd heard will happen in the movie. A cell phone began ringing and interrupted him. Eventually, Wolverine had enough and addressed the camera directly, flinging bleeped F-bombs at the audience and making a rather crude reference to how this is a movie theater and not, quote, your grandma's nursing phone and to turn off your fucking phones. But yeah, I think that was the only thing they got. Was there a scene shown? I don't believe there
They
was.
showed just the stuff that's in the
Oh, that's
trailer.
right,
When
yeah.
Wade gets recruited, he gets the suit. It's literally all in the trailer. They just showed the extended clips of it, so it's not a
Yeah.
whole lot new.
From what I understand, there's also a bit with Thor or something like that. If I read that correctly, I don't know.
It's just like the making fun of what's on the TV, yeah, and like the
Yeah.
gods, and yeah. So, I mean, look, I just made a video about this. I think it's dropping tonight on CBC when we record this. I don't know, but the whole thing about the PSA to shut your phone off, right? That plays in front of every single film leading up to whatever, right? This
Yeah.
is the best marketing Marvel could get because you're gonna go see some random film that comes out in June. And suddenly you're sitting there for, I don't know, fast whatever. I know there's, but I'm using that as an example, right? And suddenly here's a PSA for Deadpool and Wolverine featuring them, doing the thing. That is such a stroke of genius by Marvel to include that and then drop a trailer as well. Dude, this film, Marvel has poured everything into making sure this is a $1 billion hit or a bust, like it shows.
Yeah. Absolutely. And in the lead up to CinemaCon, we also got our first and next best look at Wolverine's suit for the movie. It is, I'm trying to find a good image I can throw on screen here real quick. It somehow exceeded expectations. Like, we've talked a good bit about the way that recent Marvel has like shied away from trying to do the tactical and has just gone, yeah, what if we just like fully from screen to page adapt these costumes? Here, I can
Yeah.
throw my screen up real quick for those of you watching the episode. Yeah, we have it right here. But yeah, because we've seen the set photos where he doesn't have the cowl on. Obviously, as Armin and I discussed the last time he was on to talk about the trailer when it dropped, we only really had that one shot of Wolverine's silhouette and that shot of him from the back in the tuxedo. But here, this is I truly think as good as you will ever get in terms of the live screen, like blue and yellow and blue suit.
I mean, I love it. I know like Mitch is not a fan of it. I love it.
Wow,
I will
what a dog shit take.
I agree. This is one of his worst takes.
Does he have a rationale, or is he just trying to be different in British?
I don't know. I don't. I'm a blame it on the British stuff. That's what I'm blaming it on. But like, I'll send you a picture that I can't post here, but I'll send you a picture of this cowl, and you'll see. But essentially, I love what it looks like. I love the suit. Everything about this is pretty much what you would want. James Mangold and Fox famously said prior to the release of Logan that this suit will never work in live action, and they tried, and it's too ridiculous, and it doesn't look good, and it just can't be pulled off. And here comes Kevin Feige swinging around a 30-foot long, 100-pound dick, showing everybody how you do it. So it's like, it's doable.
Yeah, it is doable, and I think that I think the necessary element there is knowing like what elements you can go all the way in on. Like gone are the muted colors. Like they didn't go the route of the sleeveless look, which I think pulls it together a lot better.
Yeah.
Which I think was the best. I know, granted, like part of that was because Hugh Jackman's their skin can't be exposed to the sun like that. But still, like I think it pulls the suit together really nicely, but there aren't the muted colors. It is broken up by some of those, the famous Black Marvel lines. But still, like I think it retains so much of its inherent X-Men DNA, down to like the red belt buckle. I truly am blown away by this look at the suit. I'm so excited to see it in motion. I know the talk on the town is that we're getting another full length. We're finally getting a full length trailer probably whenever we get Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes,
Right.
which
Yeah.
I am so excited to see this trailer, man. Like
Yep.
I'm just so excited to get more of a feel for the movie, other than like the, and again, when we talked about it, I love the trailer that we got, or the teaser that we got, but my biggest issue with it was um the trailer did not, I think, cash in on its biggest pull. That being, hey, Wolverine is in it.
Right.
It has its big moment. It has its like ooh moment.
You get him for
Um,
literally a split second in that suit from the back. It's like, oh, okay, well,
yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
and I think we made the comparison. Like, I think they could have leaned more into like that last shot in the Force Awakens teaser, that like
Yeah.
Kylo
Yeah.
Ren turning on the lightsaber, that if we
Yep.
gotten just a straight up shing,
Yeah.
to again see this suit. And maybe it's because I'm greedy, but yeah, no, the suit looks incredible. Everything we're hearing about Deadpool and Wolverine excites the hell out of me. And yeah, I'm so excited, especially that, like, Marvel's been super low key this year, super leaning into the mutant stuff. My goal this week is to get caught up on X-Men 97.
Oh.
Next week, a little bit of sizzle here. Next week, the goal, in big word, big capital letters, the goal is to do an Invincible season 2 review with Mitch,
Mhm. Oh,
because
nice, nice.
I promised him as much. I haven't even texted him about it yet. But it shows you how off to a great start I am. So I've fallen behind on that stuff, and I'm super excited to sit down and get caught up on X-Men 97, and we will almost certainly be doing a season review for that. But everything I've been seeing, the clips I've seen, all the buzz I've heard, like, it makes me really happy to see the like, okay, like, we know you have the mutants. When are we going to start seeing the mutants? And they're going hard already, man. Like, we got some big stuff coming down the pipeline, and I'm so very deeply excited by all of this. It's very exciting. And one last thing from CinemaCon, we got a little bit about Thunderbolts. I lost the tab I had. 1 second. Accidentally exited out of that one. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot. They talked about the official logo, now has that asterisk.
Yeah.
That people were like, oh, what's that about? And Kevin Feige having a very cryptic moment of, he's like, yeah, that's part of the title. And I'm not going to say shit about it until it's out. And okay, I'm gonna put on the hat of a certain conspiracy theorist you and I have a unhinged obsession with.
Maybe I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. The Thunderbolts asterisk. I'm calling my shot now. Okay. I was about to say the time code it says on my screen here, but I have to tack on the intro, so that's not going to be accurate. Mark it down, whoever's watching right now. That asterisk exists because by the end of the movie, it's a different group of Thunderbolts. Not necessarily that this team dies, but that it's called it's Thunderbolts asterisk, as in these are our placeholder Thunderbolts. And that by the end of the movie, it's like, okay, you did a good job. Here's the real team. And
Okay.
then that will be the team that people wanted. That's like people with more powers, not just a bunch of super soldiers. Because I know people felt some kind of way about the lineup. That Ghost
It
is really the
sucks.
only one. I don't know that it sucks necessarily.
I just don't like. Okay, I like the characters individually, but when
Yes,
your
of
team
course.
is made up of super soldier, super soldier, super soldier, super soldier, ghost, and slightly modified super soldier, I'm like, fuck, come on, like,
Yeah,
use your
yeah,
imagination, toss in Ghost Rider and Punisher or something something, fucking anything.
yeah, yeah. And I agree. I'm inclined to agree. I would like a lineup with a little bit more spice. But
Yeah.
I think that's the direction it's going to go in by the end.
Uh, I'm not
Um,
sure. I'm not sure if I ever posted my theory on the asterisk, so I guess I'll give it to you here.
oh,
So
please
here's my
do.
theory. So in Brave New World, which comes out about 7-8 weeks before Thunderbolts, Ross says, I want you to put together the Avengers. Who is Sam going to put together? A bunch of lackeys, because all the core Avengers are off-world or elsewhere, so he can't put together a good team. I believe by the end of that film, Thunderbolt says, you know what? I'm going to look for a new team. At the end of Thunderbolts, he's going to show up being like, well, you guys are using my name, but I got a better idea. Dark Avengers.
Oh, so Thunderbolts is that is like the placeholder name. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have similar theories. It's a question as to whether or not it's the name or the team that gets swapped out by the end. Okay.
My theory is, we know that for years they were developing Thunderbolts and Dark Avengers as films. We've seen the listings, we've seen productions, we've seen trademarks. We know what's happening. And then one out. I legit think Thunderbolt Ross is going to pull one under them, being like, guess what? I have my own government Avengers sanctioned by me. Dark Avengers, take it or leave it. And then Sam is like, guys, I really need to put together a new team because these can't be the guys that represent us, you know?
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they can't get to carry the torch. I like that a lot. One like little quickie other Marvel one that isn't under the CinemaCon umbrella before we hit our last story and wrap up here. We actually have a couple of stories left. A big one that I put in the thumbnail that I completely forgot about because I don't fucking care, but it's important. That's a spoiler on what that is. Anybody who's listened to me long enough. We did get some set photos from Daredevil Born Again. Showing, Matt and the Punisher in action. I put this on Twitter, and I just want to reiterate it here because online grifters annoy the piss out of me.
Yep.
I'm going to full screen myself real quick. I want to talk to you guys at home directly. Y'all remember all that buttfuck stupid discourse about how they wouldn't use the Punisher symbol? Y'all remember how they were talking about how, because in the comics, Frank had a new symbol because he was working with the hand, that meant that that they were prodding the audience to see how they'd receive a new like a symbol that wasn't the classic skull because it wasn't woke anymore. I remember that. And I remember rolling my eyes then and laughing like a fucking idiot when I saw these set photos now. Y'all are dumb. Stop speaking. Please do us all a favor and shut the fuck up. Anyway, that is all.
Love it.
I just what do you mean you're gonna take away this character's iconic symbol? And the fact that it seems like they're leaning into it, that there's a bunch of cops that have the Punisher symbol on it. Like, good God, I am so fucking pumped.
You know what's funny about this shit?
Just to hear people who like have this weird boner for fucking cops.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Punisher have to offer a counter argument.
It's gonna be insane to watch them try to rationalize and talk about how this isn't Frank Castle, and I can point to 100 issues I own where that is Frank Castle. And on top of this, have you seen, like, because the Fallout series is out, right? Have you seen all the dumb fuck grifters who literally 2 weeks ago were like, woke trash, worst thing ever, it's gonna fail, laughing at it? You know, the typical thumbnail of pointing and laughing like a little girl in their thumbnail.
Yeah.
What happened in the last 3 days? GOAT shows you how to not be woke. Perfect series. 10 out of 10. This is how you do it. It's like, you are... Okay, they know what they're doing. They're not stupid. Their moronic fan base is fucking stupid. And it shows. It's so sad how manipulated they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might be wrong. I want to say it was IGN that had like a headline that made me fucking cackle. Where it was like, Fallout's politics are so painfully explicit that only a gamer could miss it. And I almost peed my fucking pants.
IGN
I almost
with a
peed my
super
pants.
W. Yeah.
It was like, yeah, Yeah, because there's a level of stupid that you have to be on purpose.
I
to
mean,
miss the point that hard.
do you want? It's that same fan base who misses the purpose of this fucking show, right? That's the ones that are like, bro, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, greatest game ever. It's so good. Cal Kestis awesome. Is there a Whammon in Outlaws? I can't relate to that worst game ever. It's like, bro, Outlaws looks like the peak Star Wars game content of all time. And they're like, nope, vagina, can't relate to it. Of course you can't, because you're a dumb fucking virgin. Like,
hey,
fuck off.
yeah, not to get bogged down in the Star Wars conversation. I just watching the Outlaws discourse. It is again one of those primary examples that that does have so many corollaries to real world politics, where it's those conversations of, well, I hate Joe Brandon, and it's like, yeah, I can't stand that motherfucker either. And it's like, yeah, because he's woke and he's trying to put the LBTG into schools, and it's like, no, he's aiding and abetting a genocide and is a diet Republican and has actually done really nothing towards what he said he was even going to do. Even the weird superfluous shit like the Ticketmaster stuff, like none of that's actually happened, and that's really frustrating. And it's like, we dislike the same guy for wildly different reasons. Do you want to bitch about Star Wars Outlaws? Your issue should be with the bizarre paywall shit.
Right. Yeah.
This whole showing Jabba in the trailer, like both trailers have Jabba and going to Jabba's palace and the Han and Carbonite and all this really cool stuff that's like hinting towards seeing him like loading Han into Slave One, like all of this cool stuff that's like implying you are going to get to interact with like Jabba the Hutt and like at his peak, and that's so cool. No, the main Hutt cartel mission's actually behind a paywall. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like, sincere reason to take umbrage with Outlaws as a game, with Ubisoft as a company, and their shitty business practices. Those are all on the table.
And that's
the
thing.
All on the table.
Like any other day of the week,
there being a woman in the fucking game, you
exactly. Like any other day of the week, they would be complaining about the insane business practice behind this game. But no, because there's a woman, they can overlook all those shitty practices and focus as that as the ultimate negative. Did you get my awesome text?
I didn't know. I was responding to you cocksucker.
I had to text it.
Armin did not have a special leak of the Wolverine mask. He just texted me and bore with an asterisk. I was responding to a very cute ketchup and mustard dispenser that my girlfriend sent me while she was grocery shopping.
Oh, nice.
It was a little wiener dog with the slots for the bottle. That's what I was responding to. But no, it's just absurdity, and there are so many real issues to be taken with these media companies. And people just that again, it's why I have to fight so hard to be hopeful about this stuff. That on so many levels, it doesn't even feel like we're fighting between like differing opinions. It feels like or that it's like right and wrong. It feels like people who just choose to believe in a different reality, and me having to argue almost by proxy in favor of a reality that fucking blows, but to acknowledge it as reality.
You know how you had those 2 great videos that you did that were in length about how Star Wars is a gateway to right-wing insanity, right? So, like,
thank you. Thank you.
Literally.
The description's funny, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Amazing videos. They're to the point. I'm a huge historian and a huge history buff, and that same fan base has now literally injected itself into history. Search up history, being like, hey, what happened during World War II? And you will soon be recommended videos where Hitler was the good guy because he was just trying to expose the Anunnaki who are coming to take over Earth when Trump is elected. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I just want to make one thing abundantly clear real quick. Somebody on this podcast said Anunnaki, and it wasn't me. Someone brought up the Anunnaki, and it was not Jared Bachman Stubbs.
It's the only other guy in the
and it's the only other fucking person it could have been. But
It's this fucking lunatic.
it wasn't me. It wasn't me. For all the shit I get from my friends about the horrible amount of brain rot I've exposed myself to about the conspiracy community, it wasn't fucking me.
Bro, when you get high, you let it sit for about an hour, then you toss on a conspiracy video. Oh man, it is a journey into wonderful places.
Man, I'm glad I've never really been the type to partake in a really in a really real way, and I am convinced that if I ever was like, yeah, I have a day off, I'll just do a little goop a doop and then put on InfoWars. I don't think I'd survive it. I don't think I think it would just Jarod.exe has stopped, and my poor girlfriend would come home and I'd be sitting on the couch like I was in the sunken place. If I tried to do that, I simply do not think my brain could handle it. But speaking of things my brain cannot compute or handle, our last story here real quick.
Oh yeah.
We finally got our first trailer for Joker Folie Deux. And I don't know what to make of this fucking movie. I'd like to think, as somebody who does this semi-professionally, not that I'm getting paid to do it, but like I do it a lot, and I'd like to be a professional. As somebody who does this aspirationally, professionally, to quote a wise man on this podcast today, a dick joke journalist, if you will. I don't know what is happening in this movie. Like, I try to stay up on entertainment news. What happened to the musical?
Dude, every interview in the last 6 months, they've pivoted what this film is. I don't even know what it is anymore.
I'm just so confused. All I know is Lady Gaga is playing Harley Quinn.
And she's recreating every scene from the first film like he's envisioning her in it. I'm like, what is happening? Oh, it's like, and why did it cost $150 million to 225 reportedly? What are you doing?
Unless it's for licensing rights for the jukebox musical songs that are allegedly not in the movie. I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm being gaslit by Todd Phillips again.
I'm telling you, this is the one film where Bad Romance is the perfect song and they're not going to fucking use it.
No, like that's the thing, man. I truly, you and I have a lot of similar opinions about Joker. And I'm proud of that because I was not listening to CBC as much as I used to at the time that movie came out. And I checked in. I was like, I have a lot of feelings about this. I want to hear what Armin is saying. And I was like, yep, we still both have good takes. I don't like Joker. No. I don't. I think like it is it's so bizarre because I can sit back and I don't like to talk about things being objectively good or objectively bad. I think that's a silly fucking conversation.
Yeah.
And I think it's one that, you should probably outgrow by the time you turn 18. I can sit back and as objectively as possible, as objective as it is to experience art, as objective as it can be, sit back and go, this is an incredibly shot, acted, scored, and edited film, and directed even film. This screenplay makes me want to stick my dick in a blender.
Yes. Yep.
And it's hacky. It doesn't have any real opinion of anything by the end, which I truly do think is its greatest sin. Like, in the lead up to it, the constant chest thumping about, it's like, we disguised a real movie as a comic book movie. I think it's hacky. I think it's hacky, and it's something that I truly do not think Todd Phillips as a creator, like for me, like my opinion of him has ever recovered from.
Yeah.
Say what you will. Yes, a lot of comic books, a lot of superhero media It is simplistic in many ways, but I also think that there is value in talking about it as mythology, that it is, it is morality plays. And I don't know, maybe I'm making excuses for being this into superheroes into my mid-20s. Maybe I'm bending over backwards to make excuses for that. I just think I think it is a mid-brow's image of a highbrow person to say shit like that. And it just never recovered from it. And then I see the movie and then it's like, okay, like it's King of Comedy and Taxi Driver set in Gotham. And okay, I've seen a handful of video essays recently trying to like reverse engineer some type of like anarchist like anarchy is in like the political philosophy, not like I'm an agent of chaos anarchy. But like trying to salvage some type of like class warfare analysis from the movie. And it's like, and I respect the analysis a lot, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's justified in the text.
No, 100%. I'm there with you with everything you just said. Phillips shoots for something, and he shoots way above what he understands with this film. And I feel like the sequel is going to do the same thing. So,
yeah, and it's because like but by the end of the movie, I get maybe I'm the idiot, maybe I'm the asshole here, and by extension, you, I guess, Armin, because I'm kind of your Padawan. I don't know what Joker has to say other than sometimes people are bad and sometimes violent shit happens to people and it sucks. Because there's no like, yeah, Arthur is a victim of the state insofar as his mental illness is left to run rampant because the state refuses to keep treating him. But also like the people around him suck. And they aren't all rich like Thomas Wayne. But at no point does the movie really go out of its way to be like, yeah, and like the people around him are living in depravity because they're also being deprived. Like at no point does Joker try the film, not the character. At no point does Joker attempt to make any class analysis. It just says like the man bad, society chaos. And I think it's fucking vapid.
yeah.
And again, it's so bizarre because when I watch that movie, I'm oscillating between being in awe of the performances and awe of the beautiful score.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautifully shot and it's really well directed. Like, again, like all the building blocks of this movie are phenomenal, except for the fucking screenplay.
Yeah.
It truly does feel, it feels like you went to like an upscale burger joint. Right? And it's like the most delectable toasted bread you've ever had, the freshest roughage you've ever seen in your life. These like cool sauces and combinations of sauces you've never seen anywhere, spread with machine like precision on the burger. But like the meat's a month fucking old.
Oh, so you got like fucking meat from like a burger from McDonald's, like the dollar ones. Yeah.
It tastes like you left it tastes like you took the meat from Taco Bell, cloned it, and then left it in the fucking fridge for a month and then made my burger with it. Surrounded by all this other shit.
Well, considering that's the future they want, us eating synthetic meat, I think Joker 3 might be onto something at this rate. Oh, man. No, I get what you're saying. I agree with
part
everything.
of me was like, how much Knowledge Fight has Armin been listening to lately? Is he going to hit me with a, you will eat the bugs?
I've been listening to plenty.
But yeah, no, I mean, again, the trailer looks interesting. I am fascinated to see where the movie goes. Yep. This idea that I am interested in the idea that the movie is kind of proposing that That was a disgusting burp. I'm not even going to say hiccups. That was a burp. That was a PB&J burp, and I apologize. See what I said about wanting to be professional? This whole idea of you can take somebody who has no real ideology or philosophy but like is charismatic and can command a crowd and putting them on a pedestal celebrating a philosophy that is non-existent and the way people can be intoxicated by that and enthralled by it. I can get down with that. I need the movie to acknowledge the fact that Arthur Fleck has no fucking philosophy, has no driving ideological force. And that's kind of the crux for me. And on top of that, like the absurdity of it being a musical, if it's a fucking musical, I'm really excited by it. And if it's a jukebox musical, motherfucker, I'm so sold.
Now, okay, I got to ask you a question about this,
Yes.
right? The first film was sold on they don't want you to see this film. Show them when you show up that you are countering the establishment. Okay, well, they showed up. The message wasn't really there. The establishment, okay, you missed the point. How do you market this exponentially more expensive film that needs to make a lot of money to the same crowd who maybe some of them are dumb enough to fall for the same thing this time, right? But maybe I don't think many are. So what are you going to do? Like, what do you do now?
Your guess is as good as mine. I truly, again, I think that there is and always will be a crowd of people who will unfortunately flock to every single story that is predicated on the evil of man. And again, maybe I'm a hokey Pollyanna ass optimist who just loves his stories that have happy endings and are sunshine and rainbows and fuck you. But I think stories about human depravity, regardless of premise, regardless of its own internal philosophy and ideology, will always appeal to people on some base level. And you slap the name of a villain who to the masses is just evil incarnate. It's a money printer. And it's weird. Like I'm almost disappointed in Todd Phillips. You talk this big game about disguising a real movie or disguising a real movie as a comic book movie, and now you're turning around and you're hiding from the fact that you made a fucking musical.
Yeah.
Embrace that shit. If you want the audience of the auteur to be seated, if the people you were appealing to are those who are smarter than the comic book movie audience, challenge them with a musical sincerely.
Mm-hmm.
And also on the topic of it being a jukebox musical, the other thing I think that would be very clever with that, again, pretending that Joker actually does have some type of anti-consumerist, anti-capitalist message. The idea of like the insanity of popular culture is another interesting route you can take. Again, assuming it's a jukebox musical. I don't fucking know. Nobody wants to tell me. But yeah, like I said, little news roundup there for you guys. Very, very excited to see how some of these stories develop moving forward. Like I said, coming down the pipeline, I want to get some Invincible 2 season discussion stuff done once I'm caught up. And then talk about X-Men 97 coming down the pipeline as well.
Yeah.
But with that said, Armin, where can the lovely people find you and what you do, dear friend?
Luckily, I have my link tree on there, so you guys can check that out. CBC, I don't think is linked in there, but my other channel is linked where I do about 2 vlogs a month, and I post a couple extra things, some random thoughts. There's going to be more thoughts talking about just how to ignore the world, how to disconnect from social media for your very own well-being. I'm becoming a very big proponent of that. So check that out if you guys want a different side of me. That's not just me talking comics and all that. Pretty much that's it. As always, I love being on here when I can work it into my schedule, which gets infinitely hard. But hey, when I can, I try to join and chat it up with my good friend Jarod here. And let him know that I shall be watching Andor again because it's good.
Oh, Andor is good. Listen,
Yeah.
I think it's so. Again, I've talked about this with a lot of friends. I like Andor. It's not my favorite Star Wars show. Like, I think it is my least favorite, not because I dislike it, but because I like my Star Wars mythic, and I like my space wizards, and I think it is Andor is 1,000 times more radical a text than Joker is,
Yeah.
and it's made by fucking Disney. And I do love Andor. I think it's fantastic. It's just not like when I'm like, oh, I'm hankering to watch a Star Wars TV show. I want something that's pulpier and more mythic. That and I don't know how, and the people who meet ride Andor infuriate me. That's what I think is so funny is that you and Mitch have decided that you're going to make me into my least favorite version of myself by making me constantly defend a show that I am arguing the merits against in every other aspect of my life. Everywhere else I go, I'm talking about how Andor is slightly overrated, but you guys have to make me defend it, and I appreciate you for it because you keep me sharp.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. Anyway, I am going to throw to future Jarod, who is actually in the future for you as well this time. So thank you all very much, and I'll let future Jarod take it from here. And thank you again to Armin for coming by. Had a lovely show. It's always a great time talking with my dear friend. It always great to crossover with ComicBookCast. Makes a younger Jarod very happy and proud to get to collaborate with those lovely folks as often as I get to. So big thank you to our friends over at CBC. You guys can expect some more TNAP later this weekend. On Sunday, we'll be dropping a new episode of Knights of the Nerd Republic, talking about last week and this week's episodes of The Bad Batch, as well as doing a little bit of a Star Wars news roundup. We had some stuff about the Outlaws. We had some interviews about the Acolyte that dropped recently in both Empire Magazine and Entertainment Weekly. Going to get into some discourse, which you all know I love to do. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about the Patreon in a second here, but for our $5 patrons, Mace Windu versus Darth Malgus is out now, so you can go check that out whenever you guys subscribe to the $5 tier. The $5 tier, you get access to the Knights of the Nerd Republic Patreon versus series, as well as any other Patreon exclusive content, like our backlog of episodes of Heroic History 101 and ye old TNAP Movie Club audio commentaries, if that's your thing. So you can check all of those out. Working on trying to get some new Patreon content up there to go hand in hand with the Versus series. So stay tuned for that if we're able to get some stuff cooking. Schedules be damned. But yeah, like I said, you guys can find me at Dark Jedi 2552 on social media, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you get podcasts, and on our website, thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you want to get your hands on some TNAP merch, you can click that student store link.
T-Public.com.
And if you're feeling generous, you can chuck in a buck to our Patreon.
Give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd.
Colin Provolone. Sir.
So good.
Steal yourself, Colin! Steal yourself!
This is me stealing myself.
And to Paco, who's going by ChatGPT on our Patreon. Paco, I'm pretty sure it's time for a name change.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And to our $10 patron and friend Ray Clausen, who asks that you donate to Equality Texas to help keep queer kids safe in the Lone Star State. Folks, this is a great episode. Very excited to talk. As you will probably deduce if you watch KNR this week, I am about to record Knights of the Nerd Republic immediately after filming this. If you will probably piece together by virtue of the Roosevelt I'm wearing in both episodes. So stay tuned for that later this weekend. We got more Versus stuff coming down the pipeline. And very, very, very excited for the story of Skywalker. Big Chunkus versus the Jedi Lords over on Epic Confrontations. We are hopefully scheduling again, be damned, going to have our next episode of Ionized Bastards, the Star Wars RPG show I'm a part of over at the All Remaining Systems YouTube channel. That'll be up hopefully next weekend or this coming Friday. Not the get the date right, not the 19th. But the following Friday after that, we should be recording either on Monday or Tuesday. So stay tuned for all of that. And again, if you plan on being a Fan Expo Philadelphia, please come track us down. We'd love to say hello, take some pictures, just, hang out with people. In the event you're in the area, I would like to see you. It'd be dope and say hello. But all of that said, we will be back very soon. Like I said, Knights of the Nerd Republic this weekend. So stay tuned and class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!